Hey everybody. So I'm going to try something different today, and I've played Surviving Mars recently, and just wanted to give you all a sort of like overview, I guess, of the game, and just kind of the parts I liked about it, the stuff I didn't like about it too much. I didn't play it all that much, to be honest. I think I clocked maybe. Actually, I'm kind of curious. I think I'm at. Oh wow, I'm actually at 30 hours, which is probably not true. Maybe like I was, you know, away from computer or something. It's already closer to 15, 20. But yeah, did two free games, finished one, or at least got to a point where it sort of like it didn't go anywhere anymore. Um, which I guess I'll load in a moment. But yeah, it's definitely beautiful looking game. It's very stylish, as you can see, and it's kind of fun, but it's also, I don't know. I don't think I'll be playing this too much anymore. But yeah, let's get into this. Oh, I also don't have any sort of like of a DLC. And as far as I can tell, they don't really change all that much. Like the basic gameplay is sort of like the same. But yeah, this is my last save, so I made it to turn 126, which is, I believe, Martian Day 126, which is, I don't know, definitely felt like it was sort of like closer to end game, if not win game. So yeah, this is the colony I have. Oh, I need to turn off the rate. Let me. Thank you. Yeah, you can actually select a radio here, and these things are funny because I'm not actually sure it's like GTA style radio, or like it almost felt like it actually connects to real like Spotify radio station or something along those lines. But sort of like Mars themed. Anyway, so this is kind of your general map, and you can see like all my kind of vehicles here. These are my. Let's just slow down a little. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 different domes, I guess we call them. So I mean, first thing first, the game is definitely beautiful. Like you can go down to this level and see kind of your wind turbines kind of generating electricity for you, and it just very very well done. Here, for example, you can see like the maintenance system, I guess. So like when you just build something, it sort of like gets pristine, nice and clean. Like you can look at these pipes here, but then over time it gets like dirty and yucky with just like Martian dust. And yeah, you can actually see here, so like it says maintenance. Basically, as soon as it gets to a point where like it's completely unusable, it means that you have to pay this resource again to get it cleaned up. But yeah, I mean, it's very, very sort of like typical Paradox game, I guess. You have your real time, pause, and then free speeds. I have no idea why. I mean, most Paradox games can actually like, press buttons, number buttons to choose those. Not here, no idea why. Kind of annoying. Also, this is probably going to be like the biggest issue I have with this game. Is like, even on this setting, which is supposed to be like the fastest, it's like insanely slow. Like yesterday, I think I learned this game for like this took me like 6, 7 hours, I guess. Mostly just like on fastest speed, not pausing basically ever. And I mean, while I have stuff, and to be fair, I'm also like not the best gamer ever or whatever. Like I don't know, it just takes forever to make any sort of like any realistic progress. It is gorgeous though. Like you can see, this is a tunnel, so I'm sort of like in a rough region. So while kind of the below stuff is sort of you can sort of like see it's all, you can navigate it fairly easily.
Sector scanned.
There's also this mesas, and you could see like a meteorite kind of hitting. So you can sort of like, you can't really get to these mesas, I guess, unless you have these tunnels built. But once you do have them, you can have this like rovers or what have you, get here. Of course, you can ultimately start building shit as well. Yeah, so, I have one of the ships ready. So, Victor #1 is a rocket, which is ready to come in. And if you can see here, I actually have like this launch pads constructed. So this guy is going to land. And it's super beautiful, like you'll see. Boom. It's like opens the door and like a bunch of people are coming out.
New colonists have arrived.
Like super beautiful game. Just like takes forever. You saw like how long did it take to this thing to land. Same, so the way this works is you kind of you trade with Earth, and so I have at this point 3 rockets. I think you start with, well, depending on the country you play as, you can start with different numbers of them. And so these are used for primarily, trade. You take stuff up there, and so the stuff you take is called rare metals, and those are your exports. So it's you on Mars, right? So there's no like constant trade link or whatever. You actually have to manually like send a ship with a bunch of stuff. So you click here, enter, and it's gone. Very beautiful. And these guys are sort of like sitting here and also collecting these resources. And then on the other hand, you can also go here to resupply screen, and I don't have any rockets available right now. I could buy one. It's like fairly expensive at this point, it's fine. But you can also, and so if you have a rocket available on Earth, you can either make a cargo or passenger rocket. So cargo just carries a bunch of stuff for you, basically whatever you want you can buy. And then passenger's rocket is the only way for you to really get like a bunch of people over. But yeah, like going back to the major complaint, so like the game is fun. It's like, it looks kind of like, I mean, it's sort of like a SimCity in space, which is cool. And you have this combination of, like basically stuff that's built outside, like your energy, those are the solar panels, and now we are in the night cycle, so those obviously not used for anything right now. You get so this is power, you get oxygen and water, which is part of sort of like the life support system. So this guy is called Moxin. Basically it's a machine that makes oxygen out of I believe out of water, but it actually doesn't say anywhere. Anyway, so yeah, this guy, and then you connect it with pipes to sort of like your domes, and domes are sort of like where the people live.
Active research.
So these are kind of the places where people live. This is where you grow food. These are all the like boxes with resources. We can touch on later in a second. Again, very beautiful, very sort of like thematic. And you have different sort of like types of this. So like, let's say when you build one, you can go here, just pick one of these different options. You also can connect them for what it's worth. So like you could do something like, I don't know, like this, for example, right? So it wouldn't work initially, but like you could connect domes. It's actually pretty expensive and not really advisable, but you can if you really wanted to. The other main thing you have is you have these drone hubs, and so like inside the domes you have people who do the work, and sometimes they can go also outside. But outside your main thing is sort of like tiny cute little drones, which also can be different colors if you really wanted to. And they do basically everything. Like they collect resources, they move stuff, they do all the building, especially in the beginning before you have any people. Active research. There's also a research system, which is kind of, sort of, I don't know, weird / annoying. So you basically generate research, and specifically I play as Europe, so I also get like money anytime we research something because we can go back and sell it to Earth, which helps me. It's kind of one of the perks of playing as Europe. Yeah, it's just a bunch of stuff. Like I'm at this point like pretty much open everything, and like so anytime you start with nothing, and then you research something, you get like 2 more technologies you can pick from, and so like over time you kind of your number of options to pick has grown. We also have like a semi-interesting thing called breakthroughs, which almost random, sort of like larger benefits, but you can't force them. You kind of have to just luck into them, I guess. And sometimes they're like super useful. For example, like this guy actually makes it so that like diners and stores, etc., inside domes can actually be operated by robots instead of humans, which saves a lot, especially like during early going. Without this technology, you basically, I mean, you kind of have like, let's say, a dome with like 20 people, whatever, like 10 of them would be supporting the dome itself versus like doing something useful, like collecting resources. With this guy, basically everyone immediately goes to work on, like exports, like getting the rare metals out or what have you. So super useful. I lucked into it. I don't really know how I got it. So yeah, yay. And then on the other hand, you also get things like this, which is like, it's okay. Like if you use Stirling generators, which are sort of like late game thing anyway, and for some reason I got it like very early on, it kind of makes them slightly more efficient. All right, whatever. Yeah, this like, okay, schools can train alcoholics and hippie, which I don't know, I guess funny. I don't really know what it does. This is part of like the mystery, which we'll cover in a second, I guess. There's like this guy, which is you can order spires from Earth. Again, there's like basically zero reason why you would ever want this. So very sort of like random, and can really sort of like randomize your game quite a bit. You get like all these different things. You get like these giant lasers to shoot down meteors, which I haven't done yet. And you get like drone printing, so like all these tiny robots you've seen outside, you actually have to import them from the Earth for a while, but then you can sort of like start building them if you want to. Anyway, so yeah, very pretty game, but just very slow, and ultimately just not very.
Resources are low.
Oh, we didn't select anything. Okay, sure. Just everything takes slow, and the other sort of like unique aspect of it, I guess, is that sort of different from, I guess, our SimCity. Like it has a weird sort of like gameplay mode. So let's talk about resources real quick. So you're on Mars, right? You have your electricity, oxygen, water, which is part of life support. This is like your money, which is what you get for trading. This is research, how much research we're getting. This is like all the different basic resources. So metals are produced from the surface. Concrete, same. Food is grown inside domes, and this is like what we use for trading. And then this is like advanced stuff, so polymers, machine parts, fuel. Electrics is kind of stuff that, generally speaking, like is imported from Earth, like until very late game. I mean, now we're producing them. Like for example, here this is like a polymer factory. But it takes a while because it's sort of like a second or third layer of like factories, I guess, to kind of get to that point. Well, except for fuel. Fuel is actually something you start from the get-go, and you have to make it very quickly because without that you can't make rockets go back. And again, if you can't make rockets go back, there's really nothing you can do. And then with your drones, your people, like your number of homes you have open, number of jobs you have open. Anyway, so yeah, so what's the thing about this? Like the problem is like you're literally on Mars, right? Like there's no, if you kind of deep into any of this, there's no like city, like a neighborhood city or like a different state that you can borrow from. You're cut off, and so the way this is done is you kind of have to be like always mindful of sort of like not running out of any of this, because once you run out, it can become this sort of like cascade and failure scenario. And so like you can see I'm actually struggling with water right now, and it's very rough because like let's say you start running out of water, and also like keep in mind this is all like you can see like the day and night cycle kind of changes, so this is not like at night it might be -4, like, and maybe some other place it could be like plus whatever, right? And so it's kind of easy to like not notice what's going on. Like for example, you can see here like I have 450 stored oxygen, like I have a good buffer, but because there's this gut buffer, like you may not notice immediately like something's going on, which we're going to run out of water in a second. And so it's actually a great example. So now we're out of water, we have no life support, and in fact we have no life support in a bunch of these buildings. And so once that happens, people start complaining, and like they'll start, maybe something else will start not working. So let's say, for example, I'm not going to deliberately crash it right now, but I'm also not trying to resolve it. But basically, let's say this dome doesn't have water, people are upset, so this guy will not work. This guy doesn't work, we don't have any polymers. We already are down on polymers. It's possible that some of the stuff that produces water actually requires polymers. So like you could easily get into a situation where just sort of like very quickly, it starts from sort of like a single like resource which is slightly low, and like within like very short time just kind of gets out of control, which is okay, but like there's literally not much you can do to recover, right? And so the game essentially becomes this sort of like weird dance around like you can't agree, and like that's why also like this is like 7 hours worth of expansion. You have to just basically go very carefully, very slow, because once you start sort of like pushing, like this is now like drone heavy load, which we'll talk in a second about. Once you kind of push, and like it's very easy to push over the limit, and then you sort of like just end up with people dying left and right, and you kind of game over. And so not to go over the limit, you kind of always keep back all the time and sort of like keep big margin of safeties, because the other thing can also happen is you could get like hit by meteors, and meteor can destroy like one building which like very critical building, or like hit this junction here which will like prevent water coming here, and here we go again, right? So it doesn't make for super fun, I guess, play. You just kind of like very, very slowly, kind of methodically go about this. The other thing about it is like, even if ignoring that, there's like a huge amount of whatever. The other thing is like you have like the actual gameplay is also like very, very sort of like micro heavy and sort of, but also kind of ultimately not super interesting. And the reason for that is the resource system. So resources are not actually abstracted in like as some like base somewhere or whatever. You actually have to build this. You can see here as an example like these different kind of stockpiles in different places, and that wouldn't be too bad, except that like let's say I have have some food here, right? Like, vet food is not accessible to anyone outside of the range of the drones. So, like in this case, this is the drone control I have. It covers, you know, this kind of stockpile.
A
And so, like,
colonist has died.
there's no, like unless I have basically, like I have, like, you see I can have overlap in sort of like stock kind of drone control zones. So the way you move it to like in other places, actually put a, which actually can see down here. You have to put a like additional stockpile here, like move everything here, and just like, you know, like you could have, even if you have like perfect resources and everything, you could still be like, you know, under and just not really understanding what's going on. And so like,
A colonist has died.
oh, you see what's going on. So like, the guys are gonna die now, like be, you know, moral, blah blah. Anyway, and so like it's just a lot of micromanagement, and I think that's part of why the game is so slow, because like they actually have to simulate like all these tiny drones, you know, go in here, picking up food, and you can see it's actually getting too much food at this point because I'm guessing it doesn't have anywhere to put it. It just sort of like this, always like tiny things that have to be looked at, and you just deal with it. Just not really something that's very exciting. Later in the game you get these things, which kind of sort of help, because these have essentially infinite range, and you have, oh, here we go, like they bring shit ton of food for some reason from there to there. So these things are super expensive, but they have infinite range, and so basically once you have these guys, and especially develop technologies to like improve them, you can just have sort of like central locations and like everything is taken care of, because they can fly anything anywhere, but they're not efficient. And again, by the time you get there, it's like yeah, so I don't know. I guess the last thing is worth talking about. Oh, here they are, like they kind of super cool though, and everything is amazingly beautiful again. It's just there's not that amazing amount of game in there, unfortunately. I guess the last part which is kind of interesting is this notion of mysteries. So if you played like Stellaris, it's sort of like a very similar idea where you get this sort of like end game kind of quest. It's fun idea. I'm not going to spoil anything. Like, I liked how Stellaris did it, because in Stellaris it's sort of like it becomes kind of you know, really a counter check on sort of like infinite expansion. I think it's called Endgame Crisis in there. Here it felt just sort of like more of a sideshow, like more like, you know, SimCity Disaster, except even not even that, so I could more or less just ignore it. So yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, again, super beautiful game, very kind of fun theme to it, like cool tech and stuff, but you know, it's just very hard to get anything going, and it's just sort of like very micromanagement, very annoying. And don't get me started on like people, because they have like very different personalities, and like again, just tons of micromanagement which doesn't really bring anything to the table. Well, cool. I guess that's kind of my ramblings or whatever on Surviving Mars. I'm glad I played it, but I'm going to be deleting it. I don't see myself playing anymore. I'm not going to get any DLC. Just unfortunately, I really wanted to like it, but it just never hit the right balance for me. Cool. Let me know what you think. I also link, you know, some of my gameplay videos, you know, in the comments below. So if you want to check those out, that would be fun too. All right. Thank you, and see you around.